Okay, so this summer when I pitched this idea, my partner at the lab and I had been talking a lot about the fact that we'd noticed that there was quite a bit of confusion around the term computer science, and that more often than not what journalists want to do is actually kind of design things. And I used to run design teams at newsrooms, and I would write a job description kind of like this one. Isn't it kind of pretty? It's a little ambitious, I know that, but I ran a small team, so I was kind of looking for a deep dive in one area and maybe something else a little bit there, and then I would send it up through a committee, and then it would come back with all these additional asks on top of it, and like people with skill sets that were literally virtually impossible, and I would kind of sit there and I would get sadder and sadder, and all of a sudden I would start to realize that we really did not look credible whatsoever, because this person does not exist. And then all of a sudden, and now I'm really upset that I did not use a better unicorn, but this is, oh, it's Sparkle Twilight, and you know, she's really cute, and you know, wouldn't it be cool if we had Sparkle Twilight around the newsroom, and you know, had lots of them around? And what's really cool about her is she has a unicorn and she has wings, and that's what's awesome about her. But the problem with this is, especially now that I'm at a university, is sometimes when I make snarky little comments, my students pick up on them, and they don't realize that I was joking. And then it becomes a hashtag on Twitter, and I find myself perpetuating the myth that being able to write code is, being able to perform magic. Oh no, how the did I get here? I was not this person, and then all of a sudden I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, maybe I can come up with some slightly better metaphors for computer science, and you know, how did we get here, and like, why are we using the term computer science to talk about all people who write any kind of code at all? And all people who write and develop anything for the web, then they are obviously a computer scientist. And that's not necessarily true, although it is true in some cases, and there's lots of nuances to this. So we started thinking a lot about like some better metaphors for this. And so not that I think we've fully landed on some really great ones, but we kind of started to think about it a little bit, and I'm going to share some of the ones that we kind of came up with. So in particular, if the slide would advance, there we go. And so, there's the metaphor that we've all heard is that, the computer scientist is really good at looking for needles in haystacks of documents, and that's really good and all really interesting and stuff like that. But more than half of CS problems and the types of things that CS people are thinking about is about finding a more clever way to solve the exact same problem. So then we got kind of excited about using food metaphors. And I like food metaphors, and I really like the idea of molecular gastronomy as being a food metaphor for what computer scientists do. Like CS, it's a little self-concerned. It's indifferent to like broad applications, but when it achieves something, those ideas eventually become really mainstream. And contrastly, journalism technologists and media technologists and communications web technologists and stuff like that, their work right now is primarily structural. Journalism technology is thinking about scale, reusability, replicability, empathy, designing and developing for a new and growing medium that's kind of changing a lot. In a lot of ways, they're kind of trying to build a city really, really fast. And so when a CS person kind of comes along and they're kind of metaphorically thinking about like the state of the art of concrete liquefaction, it's kind of not really applicable right now, because I need to build the city right now, and like I need something that works right now, not something that works 65% of the time. So if CS is kind of like molecular gastronomy, the work of journalism technology is probably a little bit more like the executive chefs that are doing things at like fast casual restaurants and stuff like that. They think a little bit more about quality at volume. So like, think about like the way the executive chef or something like that might be thinking about the menu at Starbucks, or even the menu at In-N-Out, although when I started thinking about that, it would be really cool to put foie gras and duck on an In-N-Out burger. So this got me really kind of excited, and then I got going at like Chipotle. Wouldn't it be cool if I opened the wrapper for Chipotle and then like all sorts of interesting scents came out, or I could, flash freeze it or something like that, and then it would spray all over the place. I don't know, I just went kind of off a cliff there. But all of this is a question of impact, and it's what you want to have impact on faster. So, which is kind of a different question in general. Like, really, if we want to have impact a lot faster, we can get there a lot faster if we think in terms of reorganizing our teams for cross-functionality, iterative, and being very iterative, and having a lot of empathy. So, thanks a lot, and anyways, I wish I had a better unicorn. Anyways.